Do you believe in destiny? Because somebody watching this video right now is destined to own this journal. This is a reading journal that's all set up and ready to go for 2026. And while it's heavily inspired by the way I like to approach my own reading journals, this journal is not for me. This journal is destined to be given away. Hi, I'm Erin, and my reading journal is my favorite of my entire journal lineup, so I wanted to bring a bit of that joy to someone else's life. I'm using this 8x8-inch square notebook from Archer & Olive. This is the storybook in the olive colorway. I've had this one in my collection for a couple of years, but they actually do still make this one, which is great. I'll talk about the other stationery I use in this setup as we go through, but everything that I can possibly link you to will be linked down in the description. And if you're keen to enter the giveaway to potentially win this journal, stick around and keep listening. I originally intended just to do a cover page on the right side of this spread, but as I started to play with my supplies here, I decided a full spread, both the left and right pages, would be a lot more fun, and I had the space to play with some bigger things that way too. This beautiful PET moon tape is a recent acquisition from JOURNALSAY, unfortunately not pre-cut though, you have to cut that one out yourself. The grey blob stickers and those cute little shiny ones on the left page there are also from JOURNALSAY. I'm teaming them up with this gorgeous washi tape from the Quirky Cup Collective. It's called Scriptus, and I actually just used the blue version of this in my bullet journal setup as well, in my little traveler size journal. I got it in a bunch of colours because it's just so gorgeous. That really iridescent sticker, the die cut there, is from Lace & Whimsy Studio, and it's a bed, and it has the text on it, "Don't wait to sleep to dream," which I just thought was a really beautiful way to introduce a reading journal, because a lot of us do kind of escape into these dreamy worlds, so it felt like an appropriate thing for a reading journal cover spread. To me, a cover spread really serves to set the intention for the journal and to introduce a theme if you're going to have your pages themed, which of course you don't have to, I just enjoy it. I'm introducing some tapes here that were actually the inspiration for this entire theme as far as colour scheme. These ones are from Bloomsicle Paper Co., which is an Australian-based company, and these are from the Midnight Reader set, which is absolutely spectacular. I love that it has silver foiling on these ones instead of gold. This one with the clouds and the moons on it, I am definitely going to get some good use out of in this setup. There's another one that also has some little castles on that I'll use quite a bit. I had been planning to use one from the set that has a bookshelf on it, but for some reason I could not find it in my office anywhere. And this is a fairly time-sensitive video, so I kind of just had to work with what I could find, unfortunately. I'm just going to spend some time playing with the placement of all of these stickers, determining where I want everything to go. I typically like things to be touching at least one other piece of ephemera on the page, so a sticker touching a washi tape and so on. And I did go ahead and make some of my own stickers for this setup as well. So all of my titles I have pre-printed and cut out with my Cricut, just like I do for my own reading journal most often. For most of the text I've used a font called Starlight Rune, but I actually used a different one for the 2026 font here. That one's called Snell Roundhand. I think they paired really nicely together. I am going to basically immediately change my mind on the placement of these ones though, and peeling them back up is a little tricky. I remembered I had this lovely book sticker. It's from Unicorn Eclipse, but I actually got it at a market recently from Stickers and Stories. And it was just too perfect not to feature on this cover spread, especially since I couldn't find my book washi tape, so this was a good workaround. I did damage my title stickers a little bit in trying to peel them up, but I was able to just kind of piece them back together like a puzzle when I put them back down. I don't think it's too obvious. I think we got away with it somewhat. I do wish I'd thought of this before I stuck them down in the first place, but it's okay. I like to shoot under artificial lighting, but it can sometimes make it a bit difficult to see all the PET elements, so let's just take a moment to look at all these pretty reflections, and then we can move on to the first of our functional spreads for this setup. This project I'm calling the Reading Journal of Destiny, because of course it is destined for someone who is not me, and it's very much inspired by my mystery journal project where I set up a planner essentially for 6 months and give that away on my channel. This is my second Reading Journal of Destiny. I gave one away last year as well. And it is really tricky to approach setting up a reading journal for a mystery person. You don't know how much they read, you don't know which genres they like to read within, you don't know if they typically read 100 books a year or maybe 25 books a year or maybe just one a month. So I have to try and accommodate all of the eventualities in the setups that I put together. The spread we're working on right now is for collating a list of all of the books that you've read in the course of the year. And it's about to be blessed by the goddess of book ratings. This is my cat, Peaches, and I named my book rating system after her, but she tends to steal washi tapes off my desk, so I can't really let her stick around for too long. A wonderful thing about square-oriented journals like this one is that you can really allocate the top and bottom or the left and right sides of a spread to be decorative and still have heaps of page space left over, which is very handy. And I wanted to zoom in on this clear PET tape that I'm adding at the bottom here so you can see it, because it's quite tricky to see when we're not zoomed in. It has crystals on it, it's so lovely. That one's from a set from Notebook Therapy. So I'm working across two spreads here. I've actually cut a Dutch door out of one of them, and I've divided them into thirds, and we've made columns on each of those pages as a space to potentially just write down the name and author of each of the books that you read over the course of the year, but potentially if you were someone who read a little bit slower, you could print book covers and put them in these spaces as well, and that would fill out the pages really nicely. I'm going to be using book covers in my own journal for this function in 2026, but every reading journal I've had before that, I would just write the name and the author in a list like this, so I can guarantee it works. You can also draw boxes around each of those columns if you prefer that look. I really like a second line highlight, although some of mine ended up a little bit wonky. We'll just ignore that, shall we? Onward to a spread that is always so visually impactful when it's done, but can be a little bit tedious to set up. This one's going to be a bookshelf tracker. If you want it to be a tracker, it actually doesn't have to be. I'm not putting a title on this page because I want the winner of this journal to be able to use it in whichever way makes the most sense to them. I'm starting out with decoration, and I'm really living for washi tapes at the moment. They've kind of always been my favorite decorative stationery category, but something about the efficiency of them lately has just been speaking to me. So I'm literally just layering 3 washi tapes on the outside of each of these pages. They kind of look like waterfall tabs. They're behaving in a way that waterfall tabs would look really well done like this as well, but I didn't really want to do waterfall tabs in this setup, so I'm just layering 3 of them and letting it do all of the heavy lifting for the decoration on this spread, because it will be a pretty busy one once it's set up. I'm jumping in now with a ruler and the 08 Sakura Pigma Micron pen, which is a pretty thick line on this one, a fairly chunky fine liner. These sections are just 1 dot grid space tall. These are going to be the shelves that our books rest on. I'll go ahead and colour them in too with a Tombow dual brush pen. The one I'm using here is the N60, which is the kind of purpley grey. And the brush tip on the Tombow dual brush pens is just perfect for colouring in a single dot grid space in a journal like this. It's really satisfying. Of course, when you're setting up a bookshelf tracker like this, you could go in and draw all of your books in by hand, and I have definitely done that before. It's entirely doable. They're just rectangles, so it's not too difficult, but I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna use these stamps from the Quirky Cup Collective. These ones are from the Reading Journal stamp set, and they are so fantastic, but currently sold out. So if you're interested in getting your hands on this stamp set, definitely keep an eye on the website. Things come and go. And Sidoni usually updates her social media as well when she gets things back in stock, so you could keep an eye on her Instagram and TikTok too. I'm also decorating my shelves a little bit with some non-book items just to make them really feel like a bookshelf in your home. I'm using a stamp set here that I just got recently from JOURNALSAY, and it has some really lovely kind of academia vibes. We've got this lovely old clock, there's the candelabra that I've used up in the top right there, and the one that I'm really excited about is the tiny teacup. I'm going to use that one on these shelves probably a few more times than is reasonable to have teacups on a bookshelf, but there's a reason for that, I promise, and I'll tell you what it is soon. So I thought I'd scatter a few of these little decorative items around, and then we'll come back in with the book stamps and finish off the shelves, just really fill them up. While I'm doing that, I thought I would tell you a little bit about the giveaway for this journal. So definitely finish watching the video first and make sure that you like the look of it and you think it's something you could use before you enter. But if you decide you'd like to enter the giveaway, here's what you've got to do. First of all, you have to be subscribed to my channel, so if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Then you'll have to go into the video description and find the link to the Google form. Fill out that form. It's only got a couple of fields. One is for your email address, because that's how I'll get in touch with you if you're the winner. There are a couple of yes/no questions that are about whether or not you have subscribed to the channel and liked the video. And the last field is the most interesting one, definitely. I want you to tell me about your favorite book that you read in 2025 and why. This giveaway is open internationally and there can only be one winner because there is only one reading journal of Destiny. I'll be drawing the winner on Christmas Day, my time, Australian Eastern Standard Time, which might be Christmas Eve for some of you on the other side of the world. And then I will get the journal in the mail for you ASAP because I realize it is very close to the end of the year already. I've been a bit unwell and so I didn't get to make this video as early as I would have liked to do, but I figure in order to use a reading journal, you have to typically read 1 or 2 books before you can start logging the information anyway, so I think it works out okay for something like this. Next year I'll try to be more on the ball, but unfortunately it was just out of my control this time. So to recap, like and subscribe, fill out the Google form so I have your email address, and tell me what your favourite book of 2025 was. It doesn't have to have been released this year, you just have to have read it this year. Now all of my books are on the page here. It can be a little bit tricky to get a really clean stamp, so I'm just jumping back in with a white paint marker to clean up anywhere I got some extra ink smudgies that I didn't really want on the page, and this is it all set up. So here are some suggestions on how you could use this spread. You could use the space down the bottom here to add some color coding to make it a tracker. Say you were tracking audiobooks versus ebooks versus physical books, you could do different colors for those, or you can use the little non-book symbols on the shelves here and assign those a color, give them a little note, and those can be your tracker key instead. Of course, you can just use it as a second book log if you just want to put the titles of your books in there. You can use it as a goal tracker, so you can decide how many books you want to read in the year and work out where that falls and use them for different purposes if you like. You can use each side of the page as a different tracker if you prefer, so the left page tracks one thing, the right tracks something else. I counted and there are 165 books across both of the pages, so you've really got some room to play with there. Following on from the bookshelf tracker is going to be a series tracker. This is something that I always struggle with the way to set up. I find it really difficult to come up with a way that always works, so I thought I would just recycle the same layout that I used for the books completed log earlier on. It's just 3 columns. It's a really efficient way to use a square page in my opinion, and this way you can track a different series per column if you're reading really long series, or you can just kind of group them together. You can kind of do a top and bottom of page breakup thing if they're shorter series. I think it's a good one that you can adapt to whatever your needs are as far as a series tracker. And I feel like this spread will end up really busy when it's all filled in, so I'm keeping it really minimal, just a strip of washi tape at the top and bottom for decoration, and I'm gonna leave it at that. For my next trick, let's set up a book bingo spread. So on the left page, we'll have the bingo board, and on the right side, I'm going to have a little table that has the prompts again listed, and also a space to add the title for each book. But also, I knew when I penciled this out that I'd set it up a bit too high, and my plan was to move everything down by a couple of spaces, but I didn't measure it properly. I kind of just jumped in. I should have put a bit more thought into it first because I put the bottom line a little too low. So I'm gonna just color it in with a white paint marker to hide my mistakes here. It's supposed to be 25 dot grid spaces all the way from top to bottom, plus an extra space at the top for the headers for the table, so whoopsie. Once I've got that line all covered up, I can go ahead and finish off the table here, so 25 at the bottom, all the rest of the lines that are supposed to go on here. That's what I get for being lazy when I'm penciling out my spreads, and instead of erasing everything and moving it down, I just put an arrow in pencil and wrote move, and I thought that would be enough. Clearly not. But while we've got the ruler out, let's go ahead and do the bingo board lines as well. This one I thankfully don't have to move, so it can stay exactly where it is. Each of the bingo squares are 5 dot grid spaces by 5 dot grid spaces, and I worked out where the center of the page is and just moved outwardly from there to get that somewhat centered. I'm going to go ahead and add all of the bingo prompts in here as well. I tried to make it a fairly universally achievable but still interesting one. Please feel free to copy any or all of the prompts on this bingo board because it can be pretty hard to come up with them for yourself. So we've got a one-word title, a book by a local author, a book recommended by a friend, finishing a book in one sitting, a fantasy book, a classic book, a book that's been adapted into a movie, a book that has dual timelines, a book that was published this year. By this year, I mean in 2026, not 2025, because this is the journal for 2026, a book with a green cover to match the green cover of this reading journal, a mystery book, a debut novel. The center square is a free space, so that one just helps you get a bingo more quickly. a book that is the first in a series, a non-fiction book, a book that's been translated from another language, a book that's told from dual points of view, a historical book, a book that features magic, a science fiction story, a book that you chose based on its cover, a book that features romance, a book by an author that's new to you, the last book in a series, and also a book that is set in your country. I worked out the hard way from the 2 book bingo boards that I had in my own journal for 2025 that you need a space to keep track of the titles or the covers of the books that you apply to your book bingo prompts. So that's why I'm doing this as a double page spread. I've also done that in my own reading journal for 2026. It's really useful to have a place to track those things. I have seen people do something really cool where they put the book cover like a tiny little tip in over the top of the bingo board, and I think that's really fun, but I did not want to go to that level of detail for something like this. So I'm going to add my tiny little teacup stamp to the center of the bingo board as well and give it its title. And with those few little strips of washi tape and a couple of stickers around the outside, because we've got a bit more page real estate on the left side here, we'll have this spread all finished and set up. Book bingos are so much fun, and so are the kind of page that we're going to do next, and that's a book bracket. I have done one of these in my own journal before. I haven't done it for a little while, but they are so much fun. So the premise here is that every month you choose your favorite read of the month and you pit them head to head against the other favorite books of the other months of the year. And they kind of go into battle, and one book ends up being the victor, the one that you enjoyed more than any other. I was using the core pile system the last time I tried this out, so I was using the core pile ratings to determine the books that should go into this. You can absolutely do it by vibes. It definitely doesn't have to be a scientific method, and this definitely is not the most accurate way to work out your favorite read of the year, because obviously you can read more than one great book in a month. And hey, maybe you have a bad reading month every now and then and your highest rated book is like 3.5. It's not super scientific, this method, but it is a bit of fun. And to me, that's what the entire reading journal experience is a bit of fun. So I'm okay with that. There are other systems out there that are more like a matrix, that are more accurate. That feels a little bit too much like homework to me, so it's not something that I tend to lean towards in my own journal, which is why I'm not including anything like that in this one either. It's just about having a good time, and I think a book bracket is definitely a good time. So the way this one in particular is working is that January and February will go into battle with each other, March and April will go into battle with each other, May and June will go into battle with each other, and then each of those will yield one book that is the winner. So there will be 3 books that go into the second round, and the winner of those 3 goes into the third round, which goes up against the equivalent from the second half of the year. So you've kind of got a first half of the year round and a second half of the year round, and those 2 books go head to head to work out which one is going to be the winner. I had originally labelled all of the months a little bit wrong on the right side here. I kind of forgot that July exists, which was a bit tricky. Thankfully, I have this notepad from Ultra and Olive that came with their Halloween box that is perfect for covering up mistakes like this because it's also doc grid paper. So that came in really handy here. And I'm going to use it again because I set up my boxes a little bit wrong. I decided I was just going to have the second round have 3 books go up against each other rather than like sets of 2, because it's a bit awkward if you have like the July and December books go against each other. You have to have a line that sort of goes all the way across the page. I decided I didn't want to do that, so we're going to cover up one of these boxes where a book cover is no longer necessary on the left page too. And of course, the biggest book cover space on the page here is for the winning book, although I have sized the boxes for the books here as though you're going to put a book cover into them, and if you have access to do that, whoever ends up with this journal, then please by all means do. But if you don't, that's okay too. You can absolutely just write the name of the book in the space. I've deliberately left them empty. There's no like sticker or anything there. And even on the ones that have an initial, I used the grey Tombow for that, so you can write over it and still see what's written on top. This is kind of an awkward one to decorate, but we have this natural kind of dip in the middle of the spread without information there, so I'm just going to add my decoration in those areas at the top and bottom kind of centered, and we're going to work with that. The book bracket is all sorted out and ready to go, so let's turn the page and move on to another functional spread. Every reading journal needs a place to keep track of books that you're interested in reading but haven't got to yet. Much like the way we set up a couple of the other spreads previously in this journal, this one is divided into columns, but this time I'm doing half-page columns instead of thirds. And I'm also adding a Dutch door on this one as well, just because I feel like that really links when you've got two spreads that serve the same purpose. It still gives you a little bit of extra page space in case you need a little bit more than a single spread, but it still feels like a single spread, especially when you can make your decoration kind of spill from one spread onto the other and really link them like this. Something to note with the way I'm setting up the columns for this one, I've made the very top line of each of those purple, and I'm going to second line highlight the rest of them in grey. This is because I want these to be able to serve as a title if you wanted, so that you could split your list of books that you might be interested in reading up by genre, or by where you got the recommendation from, or whatever other kind of data area might be interesting to you. I've done that in my own journals in the past. I've had a column for contemporary romance and a column for fantasy, and then a space for festive Christmas books or for spooky season reads and that kind of thing, so I think it can be really useful. But also, if you weren't interested in doing that, you can just ignore those purple lines and pretend they're the same colour as the rest and just use it all as one long list. That is a-okay too. And of course, if you have a lot of physical books on a physical bookshelf and you want to make this some kind of a project for making sure that you're reading those and prioritising them, you could absolutely use this spread for that too. If you've seen any of my reading journal videos before, you may already know this about me, but I'm not the biggest fan of the term to be read, or TBR, as is most commonly used in the book community. It feels like a bit too much pressure to me. I'm more of a, if I feel like it, I will read this next, rather than this must be read in the future kind of gal. So I like to call it maybe next instead, and that's the heading I'm going to put on these spreads too. With our maybe next / to be read spread all sorted, that is all of our functional pages that have a lot of planning involved, all sorted out, but I want to add a couple of extra things in here too. Much like with my mystery journal, since I don't actually know the needs of the person who will end up with this journal, I like to build in some flexibility by adding a couple of pages that are lightly decorated but mostly blank, so that the winner of the journal can use them for anything they'd like to include that I haven't already. We'll add 2 of these spreads to this journal, but I will also send along some extra stationery, a little selection of the washi tapes and stickers that I've used to set all of this up, so that the winner can add any extra decoration as well that they'd like to if they want to do more spreads, or extra decoration on these ones, put maybe favourite quotes here or something like that. Potentially, it could be a book club spread for something like my Page Majors book club, little self-spruik here. If you're a member of my book club, we read a different book together every month and then have a little discussion about it on Discord, and we also have a little voice call and chat about the book too, which is so much fun. The Page Majors book club is exclusively available to channel members, so you need to have joined my YouTube channel on the Page Majors level, and we do all of our discussing and everything over in Discord, so you'd have to join the channel and get in the Discord server, and then we can do all of our chatting over there. And we also talk about stationery and other stuff. It's just a good time. So these spreads would be perfect for adding any kind of monthly book club updates that you need to keep track of, or maybe you have a pretty extensive physical library that you loan out to your friends, and you need to keep track of who has which book at any given time. You could use these pages for something like that too. Really, anything you can think of that I haven't already included can go here. I do have titles for one more spread though, and it's also going to be just gently decorated and mostly blank for now, but not always, because the winner of this journal will be able to use it, but not until the end of the year. This is a reading stats spread, and I love having my end of year reading stats in my journal. I use an app called Storygraph to track my reading, and it gives me stats at the end of every month just automatically, even in the free version, which is fantastic. And at the end of the year, you don't even have to wait for a Spotify Wrapped kind of deal. They don't have to mail it out to you like the Goodreads one or anything. You can just do it at any time and it will show you your stats for the year to date, which is really cool. But of course, you want to do this at the end of a year, like once the year has completed. And I like to print my Storygraph stats out. I will typically just screenshot them from the app and then pull them into Cricut Design Space and print them out as stickers and cut them out with my Cricut too, because I'm lazy like that and I find that to be the easiest way. So I'm hopeful that the winner of this journal will be able to do something similar, and if not, they can find a creative way to kind of draw out all of their stats here. I am including some sticker sheets that might help with that if they don't use them for the monthly setups, but we'll get to that in a minute. This is a place for all of their reading stats at the end of the year regardless, and they can approach that in whatever way they like. Also, this is some paper I chopped off from one of my Dutch doors earlier, but I held on to it because I'm going to make a little bookmark out of this. Now, this journal does already have 2 ribbon bookmarks built in. I am someone who loves 3 ribbon bookmarks. I find if I have 2, I don't use them at all, and if I have 3, I use all 3 of them, but not very many journals come with 3. So I like to include this little extra bookmark here that's made out of paper. I'm going to decorate the back of it so it kind of has that decorative bookmark feeling, but on the other side, we're going to do something that will turn it into a functional bookmark as well. Somebody actually suggested this idea to me back when I was using the Corpile rating system and I had to flip back to a reference page that I'd made for myself every single time I rated a book. They were like, you should put that on a bookmark and just take it with you throughout the book. And I was like, that's such a good idea. I have since devised my own book rating system that is somewhat derived from the Corpile system, but it's a little bit different, a little bit more simplified. It's called the Peach rating system. I have a video about it in case you're interested. I named it after my cat, but I find it works really well for me, and I've discovered there are actually plenty of people out there using it who find that it works really well for them too, which is fantastic. I did also come up with one for nonfiction books called Mitsu, which is named after my other cat, but I don't read a huge amount of nonfiction, so it probably isn't the most fine-tuned rating system for nonfiction books, and a few people have adapted it to suit them better. I fully encourage and support that. Please, by all means, adapt anything that I come up with to suit your own needs. I think that's the whole point of this kind of creative journaling style, right? Is to make it your own. But I don't know how the person who ends up with this journal likes to rate their books, whether they're using my system or the Corpile system or a system of their own invention, or maybe they just rate by the vibes. I'm leaving the rating bookmark blank so that they can fill it in a way that suits them the best. I've definitely seen people with really great defined rating systems that are something like 5 stars means I loved it, I couldn't put it down, I would recommend it to everyone I know, and I will read it again every year, that kind of thing, versus like maybe 4 stars is I really enjoyed it, I had a great time, I don't know if I'd read it again though, and so on and so forth, and that's totally valid too. Any kind of rating system that you like to use is fantastic. There are no rules here. Some people like to get really analytical with their reading experience and some people don't, so I think that flexibility is a wonderful thing and we can celebrate that. I like that we're all different. I felt like this rating bookmark needed a little something else, so I've grabbed out a sticker sheet that I've had for a while from STICKII, and I'm just adding a few little sprinklings of stickers around on this one. It doesn't appear anywhere else in the setup, but this is going to move throughout the journal if this rating bookmark is used in the way that I anticipate. It's totally fine if it's not. Once this journal leaves my hands, it's not mine anymore, so it's totally fine for the winner to use however they like. We're actually going to flip all the way back to the beginning of the journal now with this weird little extra page and add something really different here. This clear thing is an adhesive pocket, and I'm going to fill it up with some sticker sheets that I made that are coming with this journal. These ones are for your monthly reading stats. I love having a monthly reading stats page in my journal, but there's no way I can anticipate how many pages to leave for somebody's monthly reading without knowing a lot about their reading style. So instead, I made these sticker sheets. They've got star rating stickers, they've got all of the titles for the stats that I like to track in my own monthly reading stats every month, fully pulled from Storygraph again. So if you're a Storygraph user, it would be really easy for you to use these to track your monthly reading stats in your journal too. I thought that would just be a nice little way to include something that brings me a lot of joy in my journal without kind of putting the pressure on people to make it for themselves when the journal setup was kind of part of the deal, you know? So in order to give that pocket a space to live to hold these sticker sheets, although there is a pocket at the very back of the journal, I thought I would use that one for the loose stickers and things. This one is just going to be the sticker sheets. I've fully covered the page in some washi tape strips to give it this little bit of something, a little bit of pizzazz. And that's it for this journal setup. Let's have a flip through from start to finish. I'm so happy with how this journal is looking, and I hope that it brings whoever it ends up with lots of joy and adventures in 2026. I really hope these little sticker sheets help to make the experience extra enhanced for the winner of this journal. I had a really good time putting them together, and if this is something you're interested in seeing from me, please let me know whether that's a tutorial on how I made the sticker sheets, or if you'd like to see me make them available for purchase, maybe the Cricut files. I'm not sure. Let me know. I don't know. I love that this theme feels celestial and magical and whimsical, but because it was mostly just strips of washi tape, it was actually really easy and quick to set this one up, and I think anyone can do it. If you could see yourself using this journal, please don't forget to go and enter the giveaway. Once again, you need to like the video, be subscribed to my channel, and go and fill out the Google form that I have linked in the description so I can get your email address and also get your answer to the question about what your favorite read of 2025 was. And yes, that is a very specific competition entry question because I want to know what your favorite reads were so I can add them to my maybe next for next year. I hope that 2026 brings you some new favorite books, plenty of cozy reading moments, and the perfect sized journal for tracking all of your reading adventures. I will probably never see what ends up on the rest of the pages in this journal, and that is totally fine. But I like to imagine they'll be full of adventure and swashbuckling and love, and I hope that the extra little stationery goodies that I send along with this journal can help to bring those pages to life. I've gone ahead and unrolled some of the washi tapes onto some cards here so I can include those too because they're integral to the theme. Just in case you're keen to keep watching and maybe a square journal isn't the right size for you, here is the setup of my own reading journal in a B5 journal for 2026. And right under that is a playlist of all of my reading journal videos throughout 2025.